Welcome back, Bollywood to Hollywood with Ram Pilla. We have Professor Vivek Kumar. We had a talk with him last time. He is an associate professor at Jawaharlal Nehru University, and he is a visiting associate professor at Columbia University. Welcome back, Vivek.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Well, we have been talking about the caste, how deep-rooted it is from 4000 or 2000 BC to the present day. And the Western society doesn't know anything about it. They may have read it, heard it, but it's not been exposed. They really never really learned it. So now that you are coming to America and the Columbia, and you are telling us in our program how deep-rooted it is, how bad it is even today, even though you may be wearing a suit and tie, but still they treat you as a Dalit, which is untouchable. You know, you can't marry outside a higher caste woman, even though it's same color. And this perpetuation of the caste goes on and on. I mean, Buddha fought against it.
Yeah.
He was made another Indian god, and Hinduism absorbed it. And my theory is it's Hinduism, which you last time characterized as the main enemy. It has a tendency like that's amoeba in zoology, they call it, this little cell. It can shape itself in such a way and absorbs every other enemy. So it's what Hinduism did. When Buddhism came, when Buddhism was against Brahmin movement, it absorbed it and made him a Hindu god.
Yeah.
I mean, my grandmother, she worships Rama, Krishna, Buddha.
Okay.
And she also have a statue of Jesus Christ.
Oh,
so the Hinduism and the Indian society have a way of absorbing everything, whatever that fights against this
caste system.
So the Indian communists
Or
also absorbed in this caste system, so they never could conduct a revolution. Whereas the revolution happened in neighboring China and then in Russia. And under the Marxist theory, the first revolution should have occurred in England, where it was an industrialized society.
Okay.
But because of the caste, it never happened in India. So Buddhism was absorbed. Muslims came and they converted a lot of untouchables into Muslim, but they never could break that. So that failed. And the British came and they didn't want to really touch the Hindu religion because they want to keep the British Raj, and India being the jewel in the crown, they didn't want to really lose it, so they didn't want to interfere into the. But some people, some church people, they went and converted some untouchables into Christianity, but it's negligible, it's not much. So having said that, Buddha failed, Marxism failed, Christianity failed, Muslim failed, and still people are suffering. There are, of course, almost 300 million untouchables in India, close to the population of the Americans. America is 300 million. So how are you going to liberate all these people from the shackles of this caste? I mean, I like to see in my lifetime that the caste is gone.
Well, I think let me begin by saying that, as you put it very correctly, that people have failed to really win over caste. The second part is more important for us, that whether they have understood caste or not. You know, the problem of historiography, as you were just talking about, the nationalist historiography, the communist historiography, the subaltern school historiography, the Cambridge school historiography, they all did not even try to lay hand on understanding caste system. I do not know why. Rather, they try to identify themselves with civilization of India. And once they did civilization of India, they highlighted Vedas and they hailed Vedas. And now what has happened, you will be very much...
Are you saying Buddha did not understand the caste?
No, I'm talking about Western philosophies. I'm talking about nationalist historiography. I'm not talking Buddha as individual.
Why can't we Indians from India, at least the higher castes have a vested interest, why can't this 300 million or 200 million throw away this caste?
No, that is where actually I was just coming, that you see what happens, that to throw away, you have to wage a revolution. And to wage a revolution, you have to, I'm not talking about revolution with armed and all that. I'm talking about a mental revolution. I'm talking about a thought process. You have to have education. Now, Dalits were denied right to educate. They could not teach or preach. Even if they try to utter the word of Vedas, they're actually supposed to cut the tongue. And if they hear the Vedas, the molten lead should be poured in their ears. This was the saying. I'm talking about normative pattern. What happened at the grassroots level was even more heinous, because they could not, and I have tried to list 45 types of exclusion they suffered. First of all, they were not mentioned in the Vedas. They had no right whatsoever of the Vedas. The Chaturvarna system, the fourfold social order which India has, where you have to actually have right to go and read the Vedas, they did not have. Where you can go and have your property, they did not have. Where you can live within the same vicinity of the village. You are not allowed to live in the same vicinity of the village. You have to go outside. You cannot have a pet. Your pets be only donkeys. That was the actually, you cannot wear colored clothes. You cannot wear gold. You cannot wear silver. So their pots used to be only earthen pots. You cannot have metal pots. So this, and what was their job? Their job was to lift dead animals, clean excreta of people, dig graves, have toddy tapping, piggery, sugary, and all these were. So you see that how you have tried to suppress the 300 million of the people without any rights to education and arms. If these two things are denied, that's what Baba Sahib Ambedkar wrote in his essay, Unique and Essential Features of Hindu Social Order. So in this manner, they were suppressed and denied right to assert and capacity to do away with the hegemony. And that is why they are just, living under the suppression of Hindu social order.
But, if you put a cat into the room and push into the corner, even a cat will fight back. That's a human nature. Many a time, people don't need the education as we understand education is. Human beings are intelligent. Mm-hmm. We think. Why can't they? Many a time politicians blame the people. Oh, they have no education. But are you talking about education in the sense of political education? Mm-hmm. Are you talking about education in the sense of degrees, academic, and all other things?
No, I was just trying to tell you that, look, people think that, look, they have not asserted. That is also a view which has been created by the mainstream historians, mainstream people. But you see, in history, Dalits who were suppressed have revolted. They have tried to raise their voice. And I'm talking about, you can take 15th century or 16th century. I'm not talking about Buddha, but you take 15th century, both saint poets. I'm talking Ravidas. I'm talking about Dadu. I'm talking about actually, Kabir. All were trying to raise the voice against the suppressive and exploitative caste system.
But within this system,
they wanted
the Hindu order.
No, they wanted to go out, and they Ravidas said that actually, if you are not letting us to go into the temple, fine, keep your temple. I will revere my own heart. And that's what says that if your heart is pure, God is in your heart also.
So he set up a separate temple.
He had a separate understanding. Kabir never wanted to revere idol of Rama. He said, my Rama is formless, and I can say actually my own view. Similarly, there were other like Satanam Panth in Chhattisgarh. They were all saying that we do not want the idol of the God, and actually we will have our own way of reverence. Then came in South, you have Narayana Guru, who said that we will have our own religion. Periyar was having actually atheist, and then we have Ambedkar who went into Buddhism. So people tried to revolt wherever there are in little effort which they made. But there has been a counter revolution also.
Why?
And counter revolution, you see that how in present context, if you see the context, that after democratic constitution was promulgated, everyone were to get equal access to the institutions of governance. I will say 5 institutions: judiciary, bureaucracy, polity, university and industry. All these 5 institutions should be given equal access to people. If democratic country India should have emerged. But what has happened? Over the years, we have seen, instead of equally sharing the resources, the elite, the upper strata, has tried to monopolize. And I'm giving you one example of university. In Central University, I did a study of 14 to 15 Central University. In that, out of 1400 professors, there were only 5 professors of this Dalit community, and that too without any affirmative action, on their own. So this is the level of exclusion. Judiciary, we do not have a single judge belonging to this community. I am talking about industry, we do not have a industrial house belonging to this community. You take media, there is no one in the media. How are you going to build a democratic country when you do not give access to these people democratically in these institutions?
Fine. No, I will come to that point. But my basic question is, I believe in people.
Mm-hmm.
I believe they can rebel. A poor man who had not even a high school education know what is good and what is bad. But somehow I believe they don't trust these politicians or the leaders. I don't know whoever is leading them now in the Dalit community.
Mm-hmm.
It happened to us when we were on the hunger strike, which we were talking about in 1983. Most of the karmacharis, the workers, so when we were fighting for the cause, untouchables, they're all in the camp of the so-called communists.
Mm-hmm.
But when they saw somebody who was willing to die for their cause, I was nothing. We were 5 people on hunger strike, and I got a little bit. They came with the arrest warrant to lift us up, because I started having heart problems. And on the Saturday midnight, when the police came with the military and arrest warrant, lifted us, the word spread, and all these people who were controlled by the opposite camp, they came with lathis, chains, These are not, they used to sweep the floors. They don't have much education. But they know what is good, who is really fighting. They know how to fight for their cause. So from that experience, and they stopped, because if the police
could not enter.
If they entered and there would have been a bloodshed, that would have become an international situation. And Madam Gandhi at the time didn't want an international situation. So my point is not to glorify myself or my friends, what we did in 83, but to open my eyes that if they can see their cause fighting, if somebody can unite them, they will come together and fight. And my question is, why are they not able to come together and do the revolt? I mean, I understand there are subcastes among the castes, which divides them further. Each one is a little bit above the other. The Brahmins have done the divide and rule. But even then, people know what is good for them, who is fighting for them.
Yeah, my actually, analysis of this whole movement is that, we were not in a democratic country. We did not have any right whatsoever.
Even though India is proclaimed as a republic.
Yeah, now actually it has, I think Indian democracy is still in a nascent stage. It is still,
as a Hindu nation.
As a nation.
A republic.
Yeah, as a republic, I think it is only 60 years. And 60 years in a nation's history is not a very big history. So I think, what has happened, what positive I will take from this democratic struggle in India, which is of Dalits, is going on, is that they have got a voting right. And that's where Ambedkar tried to build a democracy in India, which was not existing earlier. And this democracy is based on equality, liberty, and fraternity, which he took from
American Constitution.
No, Buddhism. Not French Revolution. He talks about Maitri. He talks about this fraternity, which he says that I have taken it from Buddhism. And that is basically, he pinned his hope in democracy, that one man, one vote, one value is going to change the India. And I see a change which is ushering. And I can see that the most populated state of the country, that is Uttar Pradesh, where a Dalit woman who can be said as triply exploited on the name of gender and the name of class and of course in the name of caste. So triply exploited woman became chief minister of that country, and your Forbes and Times wrote that she is possibly the 8th most powerful woman of the world. So I think that's where positives which take from democracy. And in that, I think Dalit movement, led by a political party, which is Bahujan Samaj Party, has strengthened Indian democracy. So I think I see a ray of hope there, that if revolution is going to come, it will be a democratic revolution based on constitutional rights of the people.
Well, that's well said. So what you are saying is an evolution where certain rules of the game were set up.
Yeah.
So this the governmental institutions. But you said the basic enemy has been and will be the Hindu religion, where this caste system continues due to intermarriage only in the particular caste, not even outside. So it perpetuates. My question is, well, in every societies evolve, and the change is slow. But in the Indian context, it did not happen for a very, very long time. But even now, you were saying only there are few people came up, but the change is not as much as it is expected.
Correct.
So that this may take centuries.
Of course.
But what we are talking about, once and for all, to get rid of this caste. We don't have color difference.
Yeah.
We both look the same. We don't look like black and white or yellow and green.
Yeah.
We don't have the horns. We speak the same language, eat the same food. Why can't we somehow these leaders or the thinkers find a way to once for all?
Yeah.
Ambedkar said about annihilation of the caste.
Yeah.
Why can't we annihilate? He had a solution like let's all go and convert to Buddhism.
That's
but
one.
Not many people have done that.
But the most important aspect which Ambedkar suggested for annihilation of caste was to delegitimize the sacred text of Hindu social order.
Why?
Why? Because actually caste draws strength from these sacred texts of Hindu social order. Vedas, Smritis, and actually Vedangas and all that, they provide. And that's why the Hindus who cross the borders, who come across the sea and are in different, many multi-millionaire of the Indians, they do not give up the attitude of the caste. And they develop a temple, and within temple the interaction is based on the basis of the caste, because the gotras are asked in the temple.
But what do you say to all these Western people who are embracing Gandhi, who are embracing this spiritual philosophy of Hinduism in the form of yoga, in the form of gurus, in the form of all solution to all their problems? So what do you tell them?
I'll tell them that they should know the reality behind Gandhi. Why Gandhi is being actually perpetuated even though he could not do away with. He did not fight for apartheid of the blacks. He was doing it for actually when he went to South Africa, he was not fighting for the blacks there. He was fighting for his own Gujarati men who were actually not given. And then when he comes to India, he did not fight for untouchables. He was fighting only for the power to the elite. And that's what happened, that after the British went, they got the power. So now we have to understand what exactly Gandhi did for the real downtroddens of tribals, like, and Dalits. This we have to, and women. We have to also include that. If we see this, tribes, Dalit and women, Gandhi stands nowhere. He was not fighting for them.
We understand that. We have no controversy about it, even though some people quarrel with you.
Yeah.
But talking about the tribes, so you see in the northeast province of India, where they accuse people of going and embracing Maoism and Naxalism and fighting against, taking up the arms. Most of them are, I was told, they are the Dalits. Even though they were led by certain ideologies.
I know.
So, and the Hindu government frowns upon them. All I'm trying to do and what I'm trying to get from you is, do you have a solution? How do we unite these people?
First of all, actually, Dalit...
Beyond the structures of constitution.
That's what I'm saying, that now it's a global world.
Yeah.
And global world, actually, in global world, you have to change the idiom. Because you have to have more people on your bandwagon to fight for you. It's not going to be fought within the contours of Indian society, because now it's a supra world, and in which supra institutions like United Nations Human Rights Commission, UNDP, World Bank, IMF, and others also trip in. MNCs go in a big way. So they have to be told that, look, these caste institutions are violative of human rights of the people. If you don't understand the vocabulary of caste, you understand the vocabulary of human rights. Human rights are basically the rights which are very essential to people to live a normal life. And these people are denied human rights, even to live life. I was telling that life to property, right to actually live, right to education, right to wear the clothes what they want, and food what they want to eat.
My understanding about these institutionals, you see, the media comes, my experience, when you are fighting and you provide them an issue. And if you are able to manipulate properly, the media jumps in. I remember all the so-called NGO heroes. They never came when we were fighting in the beginning. But they came after once it became a bigger issue.
Yeah.
So they all come only to gain. They don't start the struggle.
Of course.
United Nations doesn't start the struggle, but they can talk about it.
Yeah.
United Nations Human Rights Commission, which talks about it, because there is a South African woman who was one of the vocal opponents of untouchability. She talks about it. There are, they have their own vested interests.
No, but I think
they don't start the struggle. The struggle must start within.
That's
when
what
there is a struggle, then the institutions
That's what
spreads.
that's what I was trying to allow, that these people have to come up to the international level. They cannot keep on actually, pleading to their own government. Like media, if you're talking about role of media, in India it has been very prejudiced. It only tries to highlight the issue which sells. And Dalits, they think that they are not in purchasing power, and therefore Dalit issues is not an issue for them. But when Dalits start having a movement, which becomes a sellable commodity for them. So I'm saying that the movement which is there in India, and there is a strong 7 shades of Dalit movement which is going on. There is socio-religious movement, there is political movement, bureaucratic movement, Dalit literary movement, Dalit NGO movement, and Dalit diaspora movement. So these movements are trying to highlight the issue from local to global. And this, I think, will pressurize the international organizations. They will pressurize even the Indian diaspora in different parts of the world.
But all I'm saying is, unless you have a nucleus there, a center, which is basically the Dalits, no one else can fight for them unless they fight for themselves.
But 180 million is a nucleus. That's what I'm talking about.
So it may not be a strong nucleus at this point. Otherwise, this fight would have been fought and won long time ago.
That's what you said, actually, that the results are not as they were expected.
I mean, what is it that is stopping them today? We don't want this Hindu religion. We are not Hindus. Declaring we are not Hindus.
No, that's where actually this is not an unequal social order. This is graded inequality, one above the other. And therefore, those who are above, they will not like that they should lose their identity. So there is something intricate. And Hindu social order is not that simple and straightforward that, look, one day you realize. It is a divine slavery system where people have started enjoying their slavery. And that is why they are not able to come out.
How do people enjoy slavery?
That is what you have to see, and you have seen actually in India, that how people say that, oh, my karma and dharma, my deeds of the last incarnation are responsible for my present destination.
So that's the karma theory of Hindu religion.
That's what I'm saying, that Hinduism is not a straightforward ideology. It has so many cliques, and that basically brings and keeps down people within the fold of Hindu social order, and people are not able to break away from them. So you have a God, you have karma, you have last incarnation, and you have this present destination. So this present destination is not the last destination. And that is where I think this religious philosophy becomes very, very difficult to break away.
I think our time is coming up. I wish we have more time to talk to you, but maybe when you come back, we will talk more, and hopefully you take some pleasant experiences back to India, and maybe some new ideas to contribute with the struggle.
Oh, it has been wonderful experience, and I really thank Fulbright Fellowship and Columbia University for giving me this opportunity to be here.
And thanks for coming on my show.
Thank you.
And to my audience, we are up with the time, so until next episode, goodbye. Bollywood to Hollywood with Rao Rampilla. And keep fighting.
Everybody in the world, come join me. Stand up and fight for your soul and liberty. If you are them, let's get them now.